Funny thing is, the song is actually called Witching Hour. Thought you guys might appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, I running a speed test and I reconnected my Wi-Fi. Let's see if that helps. Just gonna check something out here. Interesting. So that's even slower. Yeah, I might. Oh, the upload is super fast on this Wi-Fi. I have two Wi-Fis, so this one seems to be going a little bit better. We'll try this one out and see see how it goes. I switched from 5 gigahertz to 2.4, so now we'll still talk about quad witching. Don't worry. All right, let me throw some good music on here. I really like this mix, so I think we're gonna go with this mix tonight. Yeah, I think it's working now. So I'm just gonna run the speed test one more time, and then we'll start out. Yeah, upload speed looks good. Over 50 megabytes, not crazy, but it'll work. And our download speed and then upload speed, yeah, it was at half a meg before. Now we're pushing almost 10, so we should be good. What's up, Raul? What's up, Hasib? Alright, so futures look terrible. I've been being honest here. One thing we need to know is that rejected the pivot. Did come down here. I'm wondering what it does, if it's going to make a double bottom tonight. I'm not really worried because I didn't really swing anything that should be affected by the overall market, but some of you probably did, and if you swung puts, like I know a lot of you did, wouldn't be too worried. I think worst case scenario, we open up about even. If not, we should be, I mean, this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. And then overall, I mean, you're looking for a 1, 2, 3 down or an ABC. That's crazy how hard this rejected. Look at that head and shoulders, and yeah. Alright, so futures are futures. I know people want to talk about market corrections. I'm actually gonna see if I can talk about some stuff. If you don't follow Zero Hedge, I'm gonna give him some credit for a lot of the charts I'm about to show you. So, do you guys want to talk about short squeezes first or market collapses first? I don't really care about which one we talk about first, but everyone's like, I want to know when the market's going to collapse. Okay. Alright. So let's get the bad stuff over and then let's talk about the good stuff. Sound good? End of the world. Alright, I gotta put on some end of the world music first then. We'll change it. We'll do we'll do music based on what we're talking about. We'll theme it for tonight. Music for the end of the world. This sounds good. Alright. So futures, I'll be honest with you, like, they're kind of bonkers. This is about where they should bounce. So you can see we've been holding this uptrend forever, and it's just this squeeze here. I'm gonna talk about two different things I got going on here. So the green line going up, it's the end of the world as we know it. No, I hate that song. Not playing this song. But So we've been in this rising wedge ever since COVID, basically straight up. So we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So eventually it's going to break, right? It has to. So what's going to happen if it breaks? That's the question. I've been saying for forever we have this gap on SPY around 400. Like right here, in here. And I think this is the most likely retrace, is we get that 10 to 15% recorrection. Yeah, I mean, if bonds are going up, that means people are getting out of equities. It's blurry. Does it have an excellent collection? Are you sure it's not on your side, bullish trade? If it's blurry for other people, let me know. Obviously, I want it to be clear. Should be 1080p. Alright. You guys are distracting me from my end of the world speech with this dreadful music in the background. But, so, I'm gonna delete this blue line and show you how I made it. So, typically, things like to go into channels, and when you get channel breaks, then that's when you start to have real problems. So right now we're in this rising wedge, right? So we have this rising wedge, we can all see it, we all know rising wedges 9 times out of 10 break down, but the true market collapse for me won't happen until we blow out the top. Everyone covers their positions in terms of like calls, and they cover all their gamma positions. So we blow the top off to 486 and then we collapse, but it doesn't have to do that. So, hey, this is market collapse music. This is not happy music. If you don't like the music, I don't know what to tell you. It's my stream. But, so, there's 2 scenarios. One, we have a fake out. So, if you clone the top line, you know, these are clone lines. See, they're the same thing. You can actually see we're actually kind of in a channel. So you can see there's a channel here where it was resistance before, and it's slowly becoming more and more support. Now it's been support these last couple times, and so the likelihood of us coming down to, say, maybe down here, around 439, in this range, could be pretty good. So we could actually break the rising wedge down to 439, hit this support here, hit the bottom support here in this channel, and then start creating a trading channel. I'm not super worried about a market collapse until 2 things happen. Either we start turning these pivot zones, these bottom zones here, so until you start seeing these bottom zones become resistance. So let's say scenario 1 is we break the rising wedge finally, right? So we're going to break the rising wedge and we collapse down to here. And then we come back up, hit the rising wedge as well as this pivot, and then reject, and then go below here. Below 434 in this range is when I would start saying, alright, that's when we're going to have the oh man, I think I lagged out there for a second. That's when we're gonna have the big problem. So under 434 is when I start seeing a problem. Now that's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is a little bit more bullish, and this is my preferred scenario, because this means there's no question. We go like this, we bounce, we hit the double top, we come down, we bounce, we hit an inverse head and shoulders, and then we just go berserk. And then we bounce, and then we go. So in this scenario, this would be blowing off the top. We hit the final top area here, and then we have a mega collapse. So we get back in the channel, retest, we break, come down, retest, and then we come down. I think both scenarios... What is going on with my internet? is driving me nuts. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I don't know. It's my upload speed is so annoying tonight. Like, I used to have 10 to 20 megabyte upload speed. Now it's like hovering between 1 and 5. Alright, so I think I fixed it, but let me know if it lags some more. Alright, so we have, like, this bearish scenario. In my opinion, 400 is going to be absolutely super hard to get through. So this box down here, for my correction for the September-October, the 400 is going to be, if I go short, will be where I absolutely take profits. Now, if it goes below that, then we're looking at probably 360, in my opinion, if it goes below that. And 360 would just absolutely shock me if we broke that. And honestly, this green channel that I have here, let me change the color here so it stands out. We're gonna make this call it yellow. So this yellow channel is like the all-time upload channel, right? So if we go to the daily, this yellow channel is more of, alright, if you look at SPY for the last 20 years, that's normal uptrend channel, right? So getting back into there would make sense. I mean, what we're on right now is a crazy bull run, and you could actually say this is the blow off the top right here, and we need to correct down. Now, how far down we correct, I'm not quite sure until it actually happens. The price action will tell us how fast do we do it. And this is why I love this scenario with the green, because not only do we get to blow the top off, we get the clear head and shoulders, the retest. It's super obvious, like, right? So, music kind of loud now. A little better. So, you know, the super loud music. Hold on. Alright. Turn it down a little. Yeah, so, I mean, doomsday scenario would probably have us retest pre-COVIDs around 340. So, that would be like 100% correction back to pre-COVID area. I just find it crazy that we got this. I mean, like, this is one of the best bull runs I've ever seen. Like, look at that. Like, that is the best bull run SPY has ever been on. Probably other than the October to February bull run that SPY went on. And you can see here, like, this was the blow the top off of this bull run, and then rejection. We haven't quite, I mean, it's been such a steady channel up. Let me show you some things, though. So, a couple things going on. I'm going to show you some graphics here. These are courtesy of Zero Hedge, so I'm going to give him full credit. Bloomberg made them, and he just made me aware of them. So, we're going to get a little bit into the fundamentals now. The data supports that we could have a correction, so I think the scariest one is the difference in breadth. So just throwing some charts up here. Give me a second and we'll talk about them. Alright, so let's talk about consumer confidence first. So consumer confidence has had a strong correlation with the market, right? When you get deviation, you usually get big market moves. So for instance, like here, you can see like consumer confidence starts to rise and then the market usually follows. So consumer confidence can be seen sometimes as a leading indicator. Here you can see consumer confidence was rising while this was falling. So it's not always a one-to-one scenario, but in general, the market tends to follow. So you can see here consumer confidence is dropping rapidly, but yet the stock market continues to go up. So this is one that I think is worth watching, but it's not something I put like all my money into, but I do watch it and I do find it interesting. So another one is manufacturing PMI. So this is basically like inflation costs for manufacturing, and basically it tells us how profitable manufacturing is, right? So you can see this one has a stronger correlation in the market, um, and I wouldn't say there's too much deviation. I mean, it's basically following the market. So the big thing is, does this pick up or does it go down? If it continues to go down, then we need to watch that because you're probably going to see the market follow it as well. The 1 and 2 that are interesting are these two. So this is the breadth. So this is the amount of stocks that are above their 200-day average in the S&P 500. So you can see here the market continues to go up, yet the amount of stocks that are above their 200-day average is actually down. So the majority of stocks are actually declining, but the big stocks are where people are putting their money in, and it's carrying the market right now. So we're running on fumes. So until this starts to turn around, and this may just be a dip and it picks back up, but it is one of those things where when you get divergence in these two things, it's a sign. So I strongly expect a pullback over the next 2 months. Everything's there for it. I mean, it's the top of the wedge. All the indicators are there. It's just one of those things where it would shock me if we continued to go up based on everything that I know. You know, one of the couple of the things that you typically see near the end of a market cycle is you see short squeezes. Basically, everyone gets liquidated on everything, and then they sell everything. So there's a lot of things that go into it. You know, you see these issues, but then you also see the gamma and the short issues on top of it. So, hold on one second. Just got a couple DMs I was responding to, but it's just one of those things where when you see this data and they have answers decliners, so this is basically like the overall market breadth. So when you see a deviation in answers decliner and the market, you know, typically these go hand in hand, and you can see that. But now the market is going above that, and both of these show you there's deviation in advancers, decliners, and market breadth. But when you start seeing short stocks get squeezed more and more and more, it basically means they're going to liquidate other positions to cover their short positions, which also drives the market down. So there's a correlation between that, which is a perfect segue into our short squeeze stocks. So I think we need to get some squeeze music going here. And what is this? This sounds cool. Let's play this.
Our power will be demonstrated now.
Let's talk about some short squeezes. So I have a favorite list here that I was writing about. I want to talk about a couple here. Really like skills for a couple of reasons. mainly because of the chart. We're going to save SPRT for last. So if you want to see my SPRT chart and why I think it can do what it does, just hang around for a little bit. So let me run a few things here. We'll throw some data up on the chart. Yeah, we're going to talk about ZEV. I'm actually in ZEV, so I need that to be known that it should be known that I'm in ZEV. Alright. So, music's too quiet. I can't win with you guys. It's too loud. It's too quiet. Ooh, this sounds like a cool mix. CCJ is a squeeze, but not a short squeeze. It's different. Alright, so there's some things I like about this, some things I don't. If you follow my Twitter, you already know my thoughts on this, but I want to talk about it for basically a few reasons. So, I have a short-term expiration on ZEV because it's on my Lotto account. But utilization, 100%. Amazing. If the music's too loud, let me know. I did turn it up slightly. The short interest on this, 25.5%. Really good. Cost to borrow could be better. 16% is not very high. But that's not what I'm... Like, the utilization, you can't short it anymore. It's literally... Like, the daily goes right into the pivot support here. It's a falling wedge on the daily. Any time frame, it's a falling wedge. If it breaks to the south, it could be happier. The music's too bumping now. See, I can't win. There we go. We'll put it there. So, I'm just looking to set an alert basically on this downtrend break and only play it if it breaks to the top side. If it plays to the bottom side, we don't go in it. But if it plays to the top side, this could see a $5 move, $6 move. Could be a 50. Even on shares, you could make 40, 50%. I mean, and you can see, like, this is the other thing that really excites me. On the daily, that is a full daily downtrend break. That's why it went nuts the other day, because it fully broke out. Look at this volume. Like, people wanted to sell that immediately on the pump. Like, they're all like, just like, I'm immediately selling it. So it's interesting that no one believes in this long term, and I haven't done a fundamental deep dive on it. I know I've looked into it a little bit. I wasn't too impressed in the fundamentals, which makes sense. I mean, cash flow is terrible. Balance sheet, it's not bad. I mean, they got money to burn right now, so they don't need to burn more. You know what? They make 90 million and they lose 80 million. That's not too good. They're losing money faster and faster. They're making money faster and faster, which is good. But when you're making more money and then also losing more money, I don't know. And they're a $4.5 billion company that nets... What did they net? $4.5 million company that has 280 in cash assets and netted 230. So by a 10 times multiple, they're probably worth maybe $6 a share. So there's no fundamental reason for skills in particular to go up other than just price action and short squeezes. So don't anticipate longing this, only anticipate getting a short squeeze pump on it. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about a couple others. Let's talk about ZEV. So this is one that I am actually in. I am not in skills, but I'm thinking about getting it on that down trade break. So Lightning Motors, EV company. I believe they make not like cars and stuff. They make something else. Yeah, they make buses, heavy-duty vehicles, passenger vans, basically public transportation vehicles, things like that. Which is interesting because the infrastructure bill actually has a giant chunk of change in it. I want to say it's like 4 to 8 billion. I got to look it up exactly again off the top of my head. I can't remember, but huge chunk of change for public transport, in particular electric buses. And ZEV is one of the ones that will benefit greatly from that. And in fact, they just got a contract. I think it was worth up to almost $1 billion. And if you look at it, they're only a $730 million company. So if they got $1 billion contract, fundamentally, you could long this, in my opinion. And the short squeeze alone, plus the fundamentals, that's what I love to see, is when there's a real legit reason to go long, and then the short squeeze on top of it is just like the butter on the bread, right? Like you make this bomb bread, and then you butter it. Oh, it's so good. And that's what I'm looking at here in ZEV. And then the next one I'm going to talk about, Corsair, is a very similar situation. And then BGFV, Big 5, also has a similar situation where the fundamentals back up where the stock is at, and then the short squeeze just adds on top of it. So I'll just I'll show you the short squeeze information on this. We'll look at that. We'll talk about it real quick. My price target on this for short term is $12. You know, it's only a 20% pump on it, but El Lobo, I'm not sure. He might have. This is one of those SPACs that, you know, went public. So SPACs haven't been getting love, but they're coming back. So a couple things on this. 17% short interest, pretty good. Cost to borrow 100%. I don't love the minimum being 51.5%, but I love the average. It just probably matters on the broker you go through. So some brokers probably have a high cost to borrow, some don't. That's why you have such a wide range. Utilization 97.52%. I haven't mentioned BBIG. Just calm your tits, relax, I'll get to it. So ZEV, like it. Corsair, I like Corsair. I mean, fundamentally, I would argue Corsair is a $50 stock. So this recent high, I would say that's fundamentally what it should be at. Based on earnings growth, forward PE, all the fundamentals say Corsair is a $50 stock. Now, the shorts, because it's so heavily shorted, have been holding it down because they didn't anticipate the earnings explosion that people staying at home from COVID would bring, and the rise in gaming. Like the market for Corsair is not shrinking; it's expanding. Yeah, we can talk about ANY. Just let me go through my progressions, guys and gals. I'm just trying to get the short data for you on this. Might have to pull it up manually. 1 second. Alright. So, command's lagging a little bit, so we'll do this manually. So, a couple things on this. Market correction is good for squeezes. Market crash is bad for squeezes. Because in a market crash, they liquidate everything. In a market correction, they have to cover. So that means that people won't sell it because they're long on it in a correction, which would then also help trigger the squeeze. In a market crash, there's no reason for a short to cover because they know it's going to go down. So there is a difference between the two. Trying to figure out which one is which is a little bit harder, which is we went into that a little bit earlier, but until we hit those crash type events, the short squeeze is always going to be good in a market correction, because if they need capital from somewhere, sometimes they get margin called and they have to cover their squeeze. So, two things on this. I love the inverse head and shoulders. I love the cup and handle reversal, the rounding bottom here. I love that. We need to see it get over 31 here. Over 31 and through this chop zone right here. So this chop zone, 31 to 35, there's so much volume in here, it's probably going to struggle, but it might take the earnings to get through there. But I do think a short-term bounce to 31, 32, maybe even 34 is possible. You got your 1, 2, probably a 3 to 34, and then maybe some chop into this, and then you get your squeeze possibly off of earnings. So utilization 100% can't go down anymore off of shorts, right? So cost to borrow, there's no reason for the shorts to have to cover, but they can't short it down more. So short interest still really good. Really like this as a long. I have leaps on this personally. I just figured I fundamentally like it. The short interest can't miss. I have in the money leaps on it. I can't go wrong on it, right? I put a lot of money into that. I'm very confident in this. One of my favorite stocks right now. Let's look at the fundamentals on it, because when I talk about this and don't show you the fundamentals, maybe you don't quite understand. So let's talk about 2017, 850 million, right, in revenue. 2020, 1.7 billion. So they've doubled their revenue in the last 3 years. As a company, they're a $2.7 billion company with income close to $2 billion, right? So this year, 2021, right? So they've done 500 million. So revenue is starting to slow down a little, which is a little concerning, but I think it's more of a supply issue in terms of supply chain issue, because they make computer type stuff. If they can't get the same stuff that everyone else is having supply chain issues with, that's going to affect their sales. So their total revenue through the last 4 quarters is $2 billion. $2 billion on a $2.7 billion company. So when revenue matches market cap, there is a strong divergence there. And when you look at the statistics, and they're at a 20 PE ratio, and the market's at a 35 PE ratio, for me, that's almost 100% upside, especially on a tech and a growth stock like this. So, that 43 to 50 range is my, so this right here up here, this is my fundamental value zone up here. And if they continue to grow and continue to expand, 5-10 years, this could be a $100 stock. So I don't think it makes a huge difference whether you go with 22s or 23s. Just make sure you find something with decent open interest and something where the bid ask is not too wide. So what that is, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But Friday leaps, good one, Prawn. So I really like this fundamentally, long term and short term. It's also a nice short squeeze contender. Once we get going, it's probably going to short squeeze above its fundamental value, which is fine. But just keep in mind that the fundamental value eventually will come back down to earth. So the 40 to 50 range, if it goes above that, keep in mind it will probably come back down in that range. So really like it. Let's talk about another one I really like. ATER, Aterian. I think there's strong fundamentals for this as well as the short squeeze info. So the short squeeze is the more interesting than the fundamentals. Fundamentals aren't great, but the revenue growth is supportive of it. So this is like another one. Because the fundamentals are turning around, the shorts are starting to have to cover. So let's talk about the short interest first, and let's talk about the fundamentals, right? So personally, my favorite short squeezes are where there's no reason for them to squeeze it. So there was a reason, and they didn't cover. So now they're trapped because they're idiots, because they didn't cover and they didn't see that the company was turning around. There's always a reason for a stock to be heavily shorted. And if you can't figure out what that is, then you probably shouldn't try to play that short squeeze. So ATER was a profitable company. COVID hit, and they're just crushed profits. Just kind of like the airlines and everything like that. So profits have been terrible the last year. They do consumer products, home, Vrima, Extava, Rift 5, home and kitchen appliances, kitchenware, all of that just getting crushed lately. But it's been turning around, so let's talk about that. So 66% is not a small number. Average cost to borrow of 227%, not a small number. Utilization 95%, not a small number. Now this is going down, the utilization. Cost to borrow is going up, which is good. So Let's talk about it on the technical side, and let's look into the fundamental side. So you can see, struggled with this pivot here, had some strong resistance, sold off, right? But look at these green candles. You could clearly see that shorts are borrowing, or covering, but they're not. The short interest isn't going down. It's only down 1%, right? So let's look at it on the hourly. So you can see basically what happened, and this is why I like it on the hourly. So you can see we have this support pivot here, right? So it came down to this pivot and then bounced and then closed the day there. And that's what it's been doing. It's been coming down and bounced on each pivot. So this is starting to make parabolic steps now, right? So if this thing gets over $12 tomorrow, that's going to then cover this pivot right here and get over this resistance. So over is $12, and then over $13.30, probably $13.50, over let's just say 14. Over 14, see ya. So I see no reason for this to continue to slow down. I think 20 is highly likely. There is a gap up here at 1860. So keep in mind, it's not going to just go straight up. It is going to bounce back and forth. But as long as it's holding those old pivot points, so here, like on ATER here. So yeah, you're losing money here, but until it breaks this previous high here, there's no reason to sell this. So as long as this keeps ping-ponging up and making steps up, no reason. So yeah, this probably was a squeeze back here, if I'm being honest, and then they shorted it all back down, and now it's going to get squeezed again. So let's look at the fundamentals a little bit. You can see in terms of annual income, 2017 36, 2020 185. Income the last 4 quarters, you're looking at 100 million. So 100 million versus 400 million market cap. Balance sheet's okay. They can cover their debt right now. They can operate. There's no reason they need to raise capital. So, I mean, their assets are going up. Their liabilities are going down. These are good things. So, I think that's why shorts are starting to cover now, as they're starting to see the companies turning it around. You can see income, took a plunge, but now it's revamping. So we went all the way down to 18 million, and then we doubled that in 2 quarters. We doubled the income. So things are good. Things are getting better. The EPS is getting better. We had a really bad EPS, and we need to start getting this to be a profitability again, and then there'd be no reason for this to be down. But short term, it's a squeeze. Fundamentals look okay on it. At least they're turning around in the right direction, right? So, we can talk about BBIG. Like how I have these charted. So, BBIG could come down to 960. I mean, I don't love this rounding action because this is kind of like an inverse butt cheeks. Aka a double top. So it really needs to bounce here and then form kind of a wave 4. So you can see on the daily, this could be a wave 4. So you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would put us at 14. So let me pull up the interest on this. Let's talk about that. The interest on this is fantastic. That's why I'm still bullish on it, even though it had that nice correction. It's just profit taking. And look at this volume, too. This is another thing that I want to talk about. Look at the volume. You can see this is a clear down into the end of this flag. Yeah, Tiff, I promise you, SPRT is going to be the highlight of the show. So, you got to save the best for last. Just keep that in mind. This is pretty good, though. So 99.87% shorted. The shorts tried really hard. They're using the market conditions on Friday to push this down. They did a really good job of it. I did not sell, and so I held this. I got plenty of time. I got October calls of this in the money. Not worried whatsoever. Yeah, I gave a little profits back. Yeah, that's okay. So, cost to borrow 313% average. You can see some this is across all brokerages, so that's why you have such a wide divergence here. Is some brokers may have more shares available, so then their cost of borrow is a little lower. But some will have less, so their cost of borrow is a little higher. But you can see the majority between the two, more on the high side. Still good short interest, 28.7%, enough to short it. So utilization and cost of borrow is there, and the short interest is there. Price action is near all-time high, which is also good. So right now, the shorts are 100% losing money. So if they can't push this down anymore, they're going to give up eventually, and this thing's going to go. Now, 1450 is my short-term target, but it could easily blow by that if we get an actual short squeeze. I like to be a little bit more... I like to be a little bit more conservative on these because they don't always go like I would think they would, but it could go to 20 pretty easily as well. So this should be the week we find out. Not only do we have that, but this uptrend should also be tested this week too. So you can see that bounced on Friday. So we should even know Monday, because since the squeeze started, we haven't seen this uptrend get broken. And you can see it bounced a little bit at the end of the day there. Pretty much closed there. So every time it's hit that, we've gotten a giant squeeze. So Monday, we should even find out in like 6 hours and 14 minutes when pre-market opens. Because if this is green pre-market, oh boy. Alright, I got a couple more here I want to talk about. And then we'll do SPRT. So I really only got... I'm going to talk about Blink. Really... Like, Blink... The chart just is like, it's going to do one of two things. And I'm scared it's going to do the one I don't like, which is going to... So it's either going to do this... or it's going to do this. I like this better. I like green better. But it could do either in theory. Pull up the information on this. Krishna, I have... If you guys give me a like on this video, I will give you some juicy rumors on Myrna. Like some juicy rumors. So, we'll cover that as bonus material at the end of the class if I get some likes. Alright. Blink. 35% shorted, still great. 100% utilization. Cost to borrow, 12.5%. This needs to get up. This cost to borrow needs to get up. I know you guys love rumors, so I knew I could get you to like the video with that. It's a good rumor. It's worth, trust me, it's worth it. It's legit. Like, something I heard today makes me excited. Like, Myrna could be the stock. I think it's already one of the stocks of the year, but it might just be getting started. That's what's crazy. It might just be getting started. So, David, I hear you. I saw you post that a couple times. Give me a second. If I can get to it, I'll get to it, okay? So, the short interest, the utilization, love. Cost of borrow, I do not. What I do love is that it's going to make a decision soon. So, it's going to make a decision soon. Should we talk about Myrna or SPRT first? That's the question. Yo, Pontelli. I can't tell you my sources. Like, come on. Sometimes they play out, sometimes they don't. You know, that's the rumor game. Like, the Ford or Tesla buying Ford one did not work out. A lot of the other ones did. So it's one of those things where sometimes they work out. Sometimes they do not. Let me just, so make sure I get this rumor right here. Alright. You guys are torn between Moderna and SPRT. Alright, let's talk about SPRT first. So if you saw my ridiculous chart, I was going to 256. I think it's possible. 256 possible. But let's talk about what is most likely to happen. So 256 is like my high target. I think it's possible. I think it's going to be very hard unless we get like a clear blow the top off moment. Actually, hold on one second. Just gotta type out a message to someone. Alright, come back to the live now. Alright, so anyways, I'm going to show you a couple things I've noticed. So, every time you get a real squeeze, it never happens on the first part, because the shorts always know people are going to take profits, it's going to come back down. So they don't cover, right? They don't cover the first time. They cover a little bit. They cover as much as they need to based on their margin requirements, but they don't cover all their position. And then generally what they're doing is they're reshorting it to pay back those other shorts, right? So then their cost average goes from, say, 16 up to 40. So their cost average is probably somewhere in this 20 to 30 mark right now. So if their cost average before was $5, $10, then their cost average now is probably like $20, right? So everyone's probably like, nah, you're on drugs. It can't go to 256. Alright. We're going to go split screen here. Let's go double screen here. Let's bring up Jimmy. Let's go on the hourly. Let's turn off regular. Let's go back to the first squeeze. And let's do a replay of right here. And now let's look at the charts. What do you guys think? Do they look similar? Huh? Does the price action look similar? So, we aren't done with SPRT until it gets below, in my opinion, $14. I'm going to give you more examples. Just relax. It's not just this, so I'm going to show you some really cool stuff on this. I'm convinced on this. I would hate for all of you to follow and just be wrong, but the data's there. Like, when the data is there, that's when, yeah, I like to follow the data. So here's the cool part. So I tweeted this out. Let's show you. This is Ortex. This is the cool data. The merger was approved on Friday. That's what caused the sell-off. So you had a spike and a sell-off, and that was really, the sell-off was combined with the market. So 96.7% utilization. Look at this cost to borrow, this fee. 89% short interest. Like, it's all there, right? This is literally what GME looked like before it went. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna be GME. I'm just saying it's very similar. So let's look at some other scenarios, right? So let's look at AMC. These are all ones people are familiar with. Before AMC went, right? So AMC had a different situation. So, you know, AMC had this right here, and then it didn't really go till right here. So typically, what you're seeing here. So this is what I'm seeing here on AMC. So let's go to turn the replay off. Let's go to the replay again. This is what I'm seeing on AMC before it went. So they're not going to always be identical. Keep that in mind. So, but what you're seeing is the price action. If I can get these charts to line up. There we go. So what you're seeing, oops, is you see these run-ups, right? So you're seeing the run-up, the flat, the run-up, the flat. So you're seeing the run-up, the flat, the run-up, the flat, run-up. Now this doesn't have the attention. That's why SPRT is taking longer, because AMC and GME had Wall Street bets all over them. I've been trying to get people's attention on Twitter with it, but it doesn't always happen. But, you know, this is one of those things where the correlations are there and the short interest is there. Like, the short interest is pretty similar to where GME was. And the fact that it's near all-time highs, as long as we can hold the price levels, there's no reason for this to go down. And the merger is good news for it. The merger is good news. So the merger, if you guys are unfamiliar with it, basically merges them with an energy company that has a legit energy source. And what it does with the energy is the excess energy they use for Bitcoin mining. So it's sustainable free money from Bitcoin mining, and they can resell excess energy to homes and that. So they're a profitable carbon neutral Bitcoin mining company, right? So it's very interesting. I need to do more dives into the fundamentals, but everything's there. Alright. I'm not sure, Christina, but I would imagine it should. Is that even a ticker? I don't think that's a ticker. Anyways, let's look at another famous squeeze. I like Alibaba long term. I have to look at the short term. Alright, so you guys like this squeeze, right? On Tilray, I think we all saw this one earlier this year. That's not the one I care about. I care about this squeeze. I care about the one where it went to 300. This one was super obvious though, because it just never broke this right here. And you never stop until it breaks that. So this is where it ended there. So this one's a little different, but basically on this one, we're right here. So, and you can see it might follow this path. It might not go right away. It might do a slow melt up. So, we're basically, in terms of where it would be on the Tilray side, yeah, if you missed the Tilray squeeze to 300, that was a fantastic one. But you always see this bounce, and then the hump here, and then as long as it can continue to hold the uptrend, that's what you care about. So, in terms of SPRT, I drew this line right here. This line is basically the line in the sand that you care about. So let's make that yellow. Let's make that super prominent. So this line in the sand is where these old resistances are now support. And that's what you care about. If it keeps bouncing on this, so if it comes down to $18, right, tomorrow? Paulo, which one? We caught SPRT at, I think, $10. I think on this breakout right here at $11. So you see how it comes out. This chart right here, I think I charted it and posted it. I could throw it in the chat, yeah. So, you know, I'm gonna be setting some breakout alerts for us. Dapper, are you watching this? I have something for you. You're gonna love this. Alright, let's talk about Myrna. And why Myrna's success is also Merck's success. So, I have found out that a rumor this weekend about a Myrna and Merck combination that is extremely interesting. Oh, you know this news. That makes it even nicer. I don't need this to be so thick anymore. I don't hate Palantir like I used to. I'm coming around on it, so... Ah, Dapper, you posted it. Yeah, that's the news I wanted to talk about. You found it. You saw the rumor. This is what is interesting. So Merck and Moderna are working on a personalized cancer vaccine based on mRNA technologies. It is crazy. So it's designed to target your tumor mutations so that it'll kill and then eliminate you being able to develop that type of cancer. It is something I'm learning more and more about, but it's a rumor worth buying in my opinion. I don't know. It's probably going to give us at least a short-term pump. But yeah. Let's look at Myrna now. So Myrna couple things on Myrna. I'm going to delete all my stuff, start over. So Myrna is going to develop it. The reason it has to do with Merck is going to be the one that actually produces and distributes it. So Moderna will develop it. Merck will make it and distribute it. So Moderna doesn't make and distribute any of their drugs. They're just a development company. I hope you understand that. So they basically then make royalties on everything they do. Alright, so I don't see CRISP. I just don't think their gene editing technology is as good as Moderna's, and they can't get it to work as good. I don't like CRISPR doesn't have like that. They don't have that one drug that makes them a ton of money, and so the big thing about CRISPR. CRISPR. Like, the heck is the? There it is. Yeah, Edit has the one that's gonna clear blindness. Like, there's all these rumors out there. So the big thing with CRISPR is they had like this one really good money-making event, which is crazy, but they lose a F ton of money. And so they have to continually raise money, which then dilutes their shares. And the only reason people are buying it is because of the hope that they're going to do what Moderna's already doing. Which is a good reason to buy it, but it's a speculation thing, right? So, again, like the gene editing with CRISPR versus the RNA editing with Moderna, the facts say the Moderna stuff is more viable, but we'll see. So, and their profitability book also says it's more viable. If you look at their EPS, it's exploding. And I mean, even on the last earnings, their 29 EPS supports their stock price. That's the best thing. Like, it's not a short squeeze. It's not anything else. It's just literally their cash flow is exploding. Now, they have a ton of debt. They have $9 billion in debt, $16 billion in assets, and it's continuing to go up. But so is their revenue. And as long as they can remain solvent and cover their short-term liabilities, should be fine. So what I'm looking here is for a breakout over this pivot here of 465, and then I can easily see 500. This is a cup easily. It could make a butt cheeks and come down, so it's either gonna do one of these, or it's gonna do one of these. So we'll see. The news that came out on the cancer stuff, I would anticipate it being bullish, but you never really know until you see what happens the next day. So I've heard such interesting things about SAVA. You can still see my last week's short interest on this. Oops. Now, there's something to be made for the rumors. They haven't been proven yet that they're actually falsifying data. So, if you like taking a risk, SAVA is at the price now where it would be worth taking the risk. I'm just catching up on some things here. One second. Alright. So, if it turns out the rumor of them falsifying data is wrong, and they actually have good data, this thing will easily double in price. Like, you can see this is crazy. But it's interesting that it formed a diamond, and then right at the diamond, the news came out, and that's what dropped it. So the timing of the news is also a little suspicious, but something to keep an eye on. Alright, I'm running a little over on time. I was actually supposed to get to another meeting right here. So hopefully the rumors and the juicy short interest stuff gets you excited for this week, because there's not, if I'm being honest, the quad witching and all that doesn't get me super excited. I'll talk a little bit about the quad witching and why it's important, and it's mainly due to gamma. So the reason why quad witching is important, and we'll end the call on quad witching. I like NVAX too, by the way. Not as much as I like mRNA. But, oh yeah, we'll check futures. Let me talk about quad witching, and then we'll check futures, and then we'll be done. So, quad witching, right? What is quad witching? Quad witching is when multiple types of contracts all expire on the same day. So you have weeklies, monthlies, futures, future options, all expiring on the same day. You can Google it and see which ones they are. So if you go on Investopedia, they have good the good things on that. But basically, it's when stock market index options, stock options, they all expire on the same day. Typically, people try to close their contracts before the Friday, so you're going to see increased volume, increased intraday volatility. If you have gamma positions that are exposed to the movements, you're going to see gamma hedging and things like that. So what that means is, for instance, let's say, like, let's just go to Apple, for instance, right? So let's say the gamma flip is right here at 150, right? So let's say a huge chunk of calls on Apple are 150s to 155s. So I'll even make this a little bit more realistic for you. Let me show you the OI on Apple. So here is, like, you can see here, November 17th has a massive gamma potentiality on it. Because 9/17, this Friday, has one of the largest gamma flips on it, besides the leaps. So the leaps, this day right here, the 21st, I wouldn't even trade the third week of January. Like, usually the third week of January through the end of February is a shit show. But this is also very similar. So these two, like, between these two dates and between these two dates are usually awful for trading because of gamma. And so because the option sellers sell all these out of the money options that you gamblers like to buy, it's their duty to make those expire out of the money so that they make money, right? So they will short the stock, not buy the stock, hedge the stock, whatever they need to do so that they don't lose money on selling those options. And that's why typically you see gamma squeeze weeks, aka quad witching weeks, be so crazy. Now, sometimes you're by Yom Kippur, yeah. But sometimes you don't see it as crazy. It all depends on the total gamma position. So if you're looking at total gamma, you can do that. You know, this is an interesting chart here. This is a squeeze metrics gamma index, the GEX. Typically, when it's lower like this, that means that the market is less stable, and you can see it's curling up. So I imagine this will go up after this week. You're going to see a lot of gamma hedging and covering this week, so this will explode this week, and then you might get the market crash after that. Whoa! Someone put that person in timeout. Not doing your job, is he? So, let's look at futures. Hopefully that helped you explain. Okay, so quad witching. The reason why quad witching is fun is, and you get lots of volatility, is the people on the long gamma side want the volatility and they try to push it over the point of control, aka max pain, so that you get the gamma squeeze, and then that's where you can get the blow off the top. So the market makers are going to try to push it down so that you get the options to expire out of the money, and that way they don't have to hedge the gamma. But if the market squeezes this week, then you'll get a gamma squeeze following it over the next following weeks, and that could blow off the top. But if it doesn't happen and they drive the market down, and that's why they always drive the market down. And if you ever look at a OPEX chart, or if you look at a monthly chart, the third week of the month is always when they drive the market down so that all the options expire out of the money. Then they buy them all back. So, alright, let's look at the futures real quick, and then we're going to call it a night. I got to go do some stuff. Ooh, alright. So we talked about this earlier. Look like futures are bouncing here, doing a whole lot of nothing. So this may just ping pong in here until it gets over one of these red boxes. I don't really care what it does. Over this box on the top, and I'm bullish. Over the bottom box, and I'm bearish. So it may just do a whole lot of nothing all night and then decide what it wants to do tomorrow. So we're basically flat though. Alright, hopefully you found this video informational and it helps you make some money, or at least helps you understand some things a little bit better. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, well, I don't know what to tell you. But we do this every Sunday night. If you're not a part of the Discord, discord.gg/thefinancialcloud, come join us. It's a good time. I'll put the link in the chat. Other than that, if you have questions after this, let me know in the Discord. I'll be happy. I'll be hanging out all night. I'll be doing some things for improving the Discord as well, so that's what I have to get to right now. So again, thank you. Have a great Sunday night. We'll see you all for trading tomorrow, and have a good one.